decision wasn't the easiest one to make, but I do think that Dennis Smith Jr. is going to get the edge over Rozier in my selection, just because Rozier has been a disappointing player up until this point. DSJ, like Plumlee, has surprised a lot of people this year, myself included. I knew that he had the rim pressure stuff and some of the defensive activity, but not to the extent that we're seeing it. He's currently averaging 8 points a game, which is nothing like awesome, but he hasn't done that since his second year in the league when he was with the Knicks. The biggest thing when you watch DSJ is his presence on the defensive side of the court. And I thought he, out of anyone today, probably played the best one-on-one matchup against Tatum. And, Tatum's going to score over anyone, but I think he made it a little bit more difficult. And that says a lot when he's giving up 4, 5, 6 inches to a guy that's going to be in the consideration for the MVP. He is forcing opponents to kind of get off their path, whether that's to the rim or just anywhere they want to go. Like, he's going to shift their path and not make it easy for them. He's getting his hands in passing lanes. He's causing steals for a team that is desperate for individual defenders. And we didn't even mention this during the game recap, but Cody Martin, soreness in the knee, so he was out for this game. You can make the case that DSJ has been Charlotte's best individual defender this season, and I'm not sure how hard of a one it is to make. I mean, I think it's a pretty easy one to make. So offensively, it's been a struggle for him. And, I think he's been doing a better job of getting to the rim and scoring maybe versus his previous seasons, but he's never been a shooter. He's never going to kind of get an uptick there, but his rim pressure stuff and his assist off that rim pressure has always been in like the upper tier. So I think the biggest drawback for DSJ, like if I were to say, hey, I have a counterpoint to him not making my top 2 guards for this team, would be the fact that he's only played in about half of these games, but you could probably say that for anyone on this roster.
Cool. Very, very logical pick. I think, unfortunately, we're probably going to have the same 2 on this one, even though I went a little bit off course with the center selection. And then, I love the lineup stuff, Richie. I mean, Dennis Smith Jr. is just an absolute machine when it comes to the kind of holistic lineup data. He leads the team in point differential. That's in 550 minutes on the year. So although he's been hurt, like that's still a decent, still a decent minute allocation for him. The defense with Dennis Smith Jr. on the floor is just kind of like off the charts. You see that with his point of attack and disruption defense. I think the only thing about Dennis Smith Jr., and this is something that we kind of harped on early in the season, it was like, everything felt sustainable except for the shooting, and everything has been sustainable except for the shooting. He's now down below 30% from the year on 3 at just about 2 attempts a game. And you can see opposing defenses they're just totally fine with leaving him completely wide open. I mean, you saw it quite a few times tonight, even against the Celtics. He was 0 for 4 from 3, and most of those were wide open. So, but agree with you in the fact that I am also okay giving him the slight nod over Rozier because of the defense, because of the story, and frankly because of kind of a lackluster season from Terry.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're also going to go with LaMelo Ball, who he's played 20 games as well. So I think the case is clear too for him. Makes exciting plays, makes this team a little bit more enjoyable to watch since he's been back, even though we talk about sometimes his shot selection is out of the flow of the offense. And the offense has been very LaMelo heavy since he has come back. He has the highest usage of his career, and that combined with the lowest turnover percentage of his career. So what I'm basically saying is that he's getting up shots at a career rate, a lot of pull-up shots as well. He's definitely getting his touches this season. And we all know about his playmaking and just some of the passes he does make. And I think sometimes some of the better passes he makes don't always show up on the highlight reel because they don't always end up in assists because his teammates aren't converting. But the quality of looks that he creates is just unreal. Still needs to work on his on-the-ball defense and some of that screen navigation stuff. But Charlotte is trying their best to use him off ball on secondary playmakers, on lower usage guys where he can play that free safety role where he was so good last season, getting those steals, off the ball and jumping those passing lanes. So he is definitely an easy consideration for me for that second guard spot. So I'm assuming you're going LaMelo Ball here, Lee.
Yeah, I'm going LaMelo. I mean, look, he is slightly down from an efficiency standpoint, but not in a major way. He's taken the most shots of his career this season. He's taking the most threes of his career this season by far. I mean, LaMelo only took 7.5 3-pointers last year. He's taken 11 a game this year. And look, LaMelo is a 37% career 3-point shooter through 2.5 seasons. So that's not like a small sample size number. I mean, that's kind of who he is at this point. He's always been a really good free throw shooter. The kind of traditional counting stats are up again, even though obviously it's only 20 games this season so far. I think if LaMelo had played 40 games, he would, because the Hornets are so bad, he might not get the All-Star nod, but he would be right in the conversation just because his numbers would be they're so gaudy. I mean, 24, 8, and 24, 6, and 8. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, really. And he still has a almost 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. So, like, the ball is in his hands all the time, and he's kind of constantly on net making plays versus throwing the ball away. So, yeah, I went with LaMelo here too. I mean, you could try and get cute with, if you wanted to try and make an argument for Rozier, or I mean, I don't know what the Maladone. I mean, what I mean, it's LaMelo.
All right, so we've got LaMelo and DSJ as our guards. At the center position, I've got Plumlee, and you've got Richard.